Welcome, everybody, to Voice Your Concerns, our Wednesday night live, just to hear the people's voice in the city of Newark from Miss Sheila Montague. Miss Sheila Montague has a lot planned for the city of Newark. She intends on seeing the vision through and changing the lens together. Tonight, we have a special guest, Miss Stephanie Towns. She is a lovely young lady out of the city who feels ignited to voice her opinion and her concerns about the city of Newark. Miss Montague?
Okay, yes. So thank you for that beautiful introduction, Jessica. Jessica, but before we begin, I need you to help me make sure that we're live on all modes of medium that we have. And I'm looking on social media and I don't see that it is actually live. So if you have anything you'd like to share to get this up and running for our entire audience, please let me know.
I'm about to check your page right now. See this? It says this video is live.
Yeah, I see it, but I'm looking on the computer and it's not. Like I don't see us on it at all.
Do you see us, Miss Stephanie?
Yeah, I do. I do.
I mean,
Yep.
I on the telephone, but do you see us on Facebook, for example?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook on the other phone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I'm on here. I don't see it. I just see it. It says going live in 0. I don't see it.
Did you click on it? You got to click on it.
Yeah, you have to.
Hello, everybody. We're just making sure that we're streamed on multiple platforms at this current moment, so we'll be able to receive all of the comments. Newark Tenant Needs Justice is watching. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. You guys, how you guys doing?
Oh, awesome. So I do see it now. Fantastic. Okay, so listen, thank you so much. I wanted to make sure that our audience has the opportunity to come on and join us if necessary. So again, thank you and welcome to everyone that is here tonight. As we've been doing this show, right, to make sure that we have open access for residents who live here in the city of Newark to share their concerns, we no concern is off limit. And as we've been talking about education in our most recent forums, one thing we can't neglect when we're talking about educating our students is where they live. Whether or not they have food, clothing, shelter is all a part of educating the full child, and educating that full child. That's what our citizens become, right? So that's all relevant and it's all important. So with that being said, we can't tend to children without tending to their parents. And I just would like to introduce one of our parents in our community from tonight. So, well, in fact, I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell her a little bit about a concern that she has here as a resident of the city of Newark. So welcome.
Hi, as you guys know, my name is Stephanie Towns. Yes, I've been a lifelong resident of Newark for 33 years. I also attended Newark Public School. But my concerns that I'm having this evening, well, I have been having, is a housing issue. And, more issues in housing and no help from anyone. By my home being mold infested, mice infested, it left me and my son homeless. And it's an issue for me, and I'm looking for help from someone, that can help us further.
Okay, so I wanted, before we delve in a little bit deeper, I just want to say to Stephanie, thank you for having the courage to speak tonight, because a lot of people are having this exact same situation that you have. I've seen several videos myself go live on social media talking about having mice in their home. In fact, one most recent video I saw, a young lady was talking about how the rats entered her home. She lived in a new community and actually ate her birds that were in the cage. So yeah, I don't know if you saw that, but it went viral, and it really lend some vision into what our families are dealing with. And when you speak up, and the reason why I said I just want to commend you for your courage, because things happen when you speak up. When you first started experiencing these situations and you spoke up, can you share what happened with you? Like, what was that experience like?
Yeah, well, when I spoke up and I reached out for help and assistance, I spoke out about fraud. I spoke out fraud in North Housing Authority. I spoke out about the living conditions, and so when I spoke out about it, I was retaliated against, and it led me to be homeless. Well, first it led me to court. I was in court for about 4 years consecutively for the same matter that was won 4 different times in Superior Court, and
Well,
uh,
take it back a little bit. Um,
okay.
you started having a situation with mice. I think you said mold. What was some of the first steps that you took? And again, be mindful that other young parents are listening to
Right.
you,
Mm-hmm.
and you're hoping to create a blueprint of what happened with your situation and
Right.
what they can or shouldn't do.
Oh,
So when you first started having these situations, how did that turn into fraud? Like, what was the pathway?
so so again, the mold came about my current mold. Let me just say this because it's not my first time in North Housing Authority. This is not my first time with mold. So let me refer to the mold that was discovered in 2020. So the fraud came before the mold. The fraud came after I exposed fraud in North Housing Authority. Once I exposed the fraud in North Housing Authority, I was in court for fraud consecutively. Once I won for the 4th time, February 2020, June of 2020 is when the mold was exposed because I was given the opportunity finally to recertify, and I'm thinking that I would be, everything is over, I'll be moving. So once I recertified, I just wanted to bring some life into the house because it hasn't been painted since I've been living there. So, I hired someone to do so. And in the process of me taking everything down to start the process of painting, mold was exposed behind my son's picture, which was last year.
Wow, and you recognized it as such?
Yes, ma'am. Once I removed my son's picture off, the mold protruded out the wall. You can actually see it still today. It's still there.
So what was the first thing that you did when you saw the mold? Did you call management? Like, what was some of the first steps that you took?
Well, the first thing I did, I called code enforcement. The reason why I called code enforcement at this particular time, because again, as I previously stated, this is not my first time in mold. The first time my son was in a coma behind it. So I called code enforcement first because when I first happened, I called housing, and again, I was retaliated again, but I wasn't knowledgeable as I am now. So when I called code enforcement, of course they didn't come out. They eventually came out months later. Oh well, we're gonna put North Housing Authority on notice, and the only thing I received was the eviction notice to go to court. When I called code enforcement, then I called code enforcement again. Another court letter
So
for
let me
eviction.
ask you a question. When you say that this happened 4 times, am I correct to assume that this is in the same place? Is it different places, or do all the apartments is just a norm? Can you just clarify?
So this is not the same place. So I was transferred to here in 2015.
From
The
where?
From Bradley Court.
Okay, and you had the same situation with mold.
I had the same situation with mold, and another thing that I found out in 2001 that North Housing Authority failed to notify me was that it had asbestos in it, and I believe that too played a role in my son. But yeah, it was asbestos, and I was living in Bradley Court before me and my son was transferred to the townhomes in 2015.
So how did you find out that it was asbestos? How did
So,
that?
well, again, with this court procedures, like I said, I've been in court with North Housing Authority since 2018 consecutively. And so when I requested my lawyer file, before my lawyer file was stolen out my house on my illegal eviction, I had several documents that only North Housing Authority will have. After several times that they denied me my file, which I'm entitled to, I happened to get a copy of my file from the attorney at the time, from Legal Aid, who were representing me. That anyway, that's a different story. And so the file contains some documentation only North Housing Authority has. And so I just so happened to be able to take some documents out before my file was stolen. And one document, which is the tenant's comment that comes from all of the property managers, it states that mob was coming to my unit for asbestos on 2 different occasions. And those dates, I received mold reports. And it was a biased mold report at that. But yeah, that's how I found out it was asbestos from current. I mean, it's old documents, but I'm just now receiving it.
Right. Wow. So, and how has this impacted your child?
Ooh, I don't even know where to start, but I do know when my son first was exposed to mold. Again, like I said, he has sickle cell. He has a congenital heart defect with the absent pulmonary valve. He don't have four. He's here, so he don't have 4 heart surgeries. And how it impact him? Well, I do know. He lost a lot of weight. He what do you call that though? Speech impediment. He had to be he's a very smart student, but it requires him to have IEP. He had to learn how to walk all over again. His voice haven't came back. Psychologically, it played a big issue with. I'm sorry, it played a big role in him psychologically. You want anything to add? Do? How did it make you feel? Yeah, but that's it. I'm
And how?
sorry. I'm just frustrated because
No,
it's
I.
a dealing with this for 4 years with a disabled son who just in and out of the hospital. We literally just came from out of the hospital 2 weeks, and we in a hotel. So I'm a little frustrated. I'm sorry, but
No. Hey, listen,
impact.
no apologies. And again, I just can't tell you enough. You know, I have a few people sitting here with me, and you know, she's in tears just listening to what you've been through, and this is just from you conveying it. You understand what I'm saying? And so many other people who are experiencing this, so many other people who have tried to go get help, and instead of help, they've been met with you know, retaliation. And have you had to deal or cope with any retaliation at all?
Yes, ma'am. I'm currently dealing with it now. Again, as I stated, I originally exposed fraud, and so I was retaliated against maybe 3 weeks after I complained to the board of commissioner about the fraud. 3 weeks later, I'm hearing that I committed fraud, and maybe I say a month I was in court for fraud allegations.
Why are they saying that you committed fraud?
So this is what they're trying to say. So back in 2015, I'm sorry, back in 2012, I can't really go into detail because it was a private settlement. But I had a position where I was let go, or the medical leave when my son was having heart surgery actually, and I was wrongfully terminated. And so once, of course, I sued and I won. And instead of when I brought the documents to Newark Housing Authority, they made the copies. They took everything, and this was back in 2012. So
Right.
now they're saying I committed fraud from 2012 and 2020, saying I didn't report quote unquote income when I explained to them back then. You guys, documentation from my attorney that they never called. That was brought up in court. Um, it was in 2012. We're in 2018. You can't tell me I didn't report any income. And there was a lawsuit, so it was not an income. It was an asset. You had paperwork where you could get my bank statements to see, but they did none of that. So now we're in 2020, well, 19, and now I'm in court for fraud from 2012.
Wow. Wow. And let me ask you one last question, and then I'm going to pass it to Jessica, because I see that Jessica's really concerned too.
Okay.
Situation. How do you feel that your legal representation helped you through this process? If you had to rate it from a 1 to 10, 1 being the least, 10 being he or she did a great job, and why?
Well, that's a great question as well as the hard question. I'm gonna give him a 5, and he's the executive director of Legal.A.G.E. And the reason why I say that, he revealed some information to me. I didn't know that they were violating my federal regulations until he put it in the brief. And but he wasn't. I don't think that he gave me 100%. And even when it came to once it was dismissed, he told me that, oh yeah, I won't be surprised if you go home and there's another court notice on your door. I never knew he wasn't representing me anymore after that. And he, was giving me advice all the way up until 2 days before my trial. And 2 days before my trials, when he told me that him or his office is representing me.
Incredible. Incredible. Jessica, do you have any questions that I see Jessica look blown away right now?
Yeah, because it's like you go to them for help. First of all, when you go to housing, it's like saying, I need your assistance in a way, right? With government. So at the end of the day, when you go to them and you tell them that there's a problem and an issue, they find a way to counter accuse you or basically saying you're committing fraud when you're telling them, and then with all the things that's going on with your son, it's like you would think that they would take that into consideration. One thing that I feel strongly about housing, period, you need somebody in office that care.
You do?
One thing I was thinking about before, right? How many people be like, oh, I know such and such at the mayor's office. I know such and such at the mayor because they feel like they got some security. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? So you need somebody that's going to go down there and kick doors in on your behalf. That's not
Yes.
afraid to walk up in the building and be like, okay, what's going on? To go in the office and say, listen, I want to see this and I want to see that. And,
Right.
and it's sad because, and we talked about this, Miss Sheila, a lot of people go through these certain things and be like, you know what, I want to leave Newark. But what
Right.
about the people that our family and friends that's still in Newark?
Yeah.
Even with your son, it's like it has to be improved. Even with your son,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, when are they going to be responsible? Like Miss Sheila say, hold them accountable. But what happens when nobody's listening?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think is like Michelle say, your vote counts, because when people don't vote, you don't have a chance to stand up for yourself.
Right.
It's like I'm gonna just fall in line because they don't care anyway. No, honey, we gotta vote because we gotta be the one that's kicking down doors and say, this isn't right.
Right.
I need to talk to somebody that's gonna listen to me. We
That's
gotta
right.
demand it.
Yeah.
And I'm so like I have two kids, okay, born and raised in Newark, so I know, understand what you're saying. And it's sad because I literally was at the point where I had to face, you know my door was broken and certain things was going on in my apartment, and I said, do I take this money for my rent and pay it and stay here, or do I take this money and get out the state? And it was sad to say that at that time I had chose to get out the state because I felt there was no help. I felt there was no help, there was no honor, there was no respect, nobody was going to listen to me. And it really, like, I see you, Miss Stephanie, like I am you, and it really, it brings me tears to my eyes because first of all, to do that's a delay in your son's education. I'm
Yeah.
quite sure he's a smart boy. Look at his mama, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? She know when
Right.
to stand up and
Right.
do certain things, you know what I'm saying? But at the
He's
end of the
very
day, now he has to be classified in a certain area, and there's nothing wrong with that. My son has an IEP too, honey. But at the end of the day, it's like, really, when is the enough is enough?
mm-hmm.
When
Yeah.
is enough is enough? Somebody in that office should have said, let's do something about this. Let's not talk to her
Right.
in this manner and
Right.
etc. Let's actually do something about this. I have a child.
You know,
Right.
when they something, when they wanted to do something, again, I'm self-taught in a lot of things that I do know. It comes from being a mom. But what they did do was I'm sorry, you guys.
Take your time.
Yeah, I'm just so emotional because, like I said, we've been homeless for 17 months during this crisis, during the pandemic. So it's very hard. It's very hard.
It's hard to not only into your situation, which, like I said, this is a tragedy.
It is.
When we really take into account that you are just one
Mhm.
of many who
Mhm.
dealing with this, and that's why it's so important that people have courage and come forward, because
Okay.
if people don't have a face with
Mhm.
the situation, it's easy for them to go to bed at night and say, oh well, I don't know, like if they say, oh, somebody got shot, it's like, oh, okay. But until you have a name and a face to go with that incident, it might not mean a lot to you. So that's why it's important you put your name, you put your face. You're beautiful, you're intelligent, and you're dealing with something that honestly you should have support all the way around the board. And I'm going to ask you, has the city done anything at all to help with this situation, or have you even been there? I know you
Mhm.
said all code enforcement, so how was that pathway to solution, examination?
Well, as I previously stated, when calling code enforcement or any agency for that matter, I'm just receiving letters to go to court, eviction. So the city, I actually spoke with the mayor himself. He was responding to my emails at one point. He even stated that he reached out to Newark Housing Authority. Newark Housing Authority is telling anyone who contact them on my behalf that they're investigating me for fraud, just so they could back up. As I talked with Councilman Southport Councilman tonight, he stated that North Housing Authority is still saying that they're investigating me for fraud on allegations that were won in 2019.
Wait a minute. So when you spoke to the councilman tonight, he
Yeah.
already knew who you were? He was familiar with
Because
the...
I'm sorry. Yeah, he were familiar once I introduced myself and I gave him details on when I spoke with him, and he remembered the conversation that him and I had, and he also remembered when he spoke with Newark Housing Authority on my behalf.
Wow. Okay, so this is what we're going to do because this is a huge issue. We're going to continue to be ongoing. This is the first of many segments that we're going to be dealing with housing, because this is a huge problem in our city. Right now, our homeless population is like so just insane. And to have
Mm-hmm.
people out here, and then the problem is layered, because even with having a job, we fight for minimum wage, right? But we have not met that bar of living wage yet.
Right.
And until people can say, okay, I'm working 8 hours and I'm able to afford somewhere to stay that doesn't have mold, that doesn't have mice, we must push. We must hold politicians accountable. We must hold every single organization, every single person or group that you had to meet or deal with in the pathway to solving this problem that after years is still not resolved. We won't quit until we find some help. So again, I just want to say thank you for coming on, for being brave. And if anybody in the audience knows other people who are experiencing this, we're going to continue to talk to parents. We're going to continue to get help. We're going to write letters. We have
Please.
Congress people, we have Assembly, Senate. We have so many people that we have to reach out to, and we're going to start on a local level. But even if it takes us having a press conference, but what we're going to do, we're going to start writing the letter writing process to make sure other people are familiar with what's going on. And all I can say to you right now is that we're with you. You're not alone.
I appreciate you guys, but let me do add. This is what I was saying. When something was trying to be done on my behalf from North Housing Authority, is once I sent the certified, regular mail, and hand delivered, making them aware of them violating my rights as well as my son's rights from being disabled. So when I
Right.
made them all of the rights that they're violating, especially him being disabled, because I feel like they would discriminate against him from being disabled, and that's when they wanted to do something.
Okay,
Once
so
I made
did anything happen from that then? Did they do something at least?
no, they just asked me where I was living at and why can't I stay with my mom. And that was their general counsel. There was the director of operation, Vincent Rouse, as well as their attorney, their legal attorney.
So there was no official follow up.
Wait,
There was no
who is Rouse, the lawyer?
so so Vincent Rouse is the director of operation of North Housing Authority. He literally worked under Victor Cirillo.
Wait a minute, isn't he a pastor, a minister, or something as well?
Correct. He is a pastor. His name is Pastor Ralph. I don't have the name of his church. I do know it's located on Chadwick in Newark, off of Clinton Ave, actually off of West Runyon. There's a church, Solid Rock. Don't quote me, but yes, he is a pastor.
Okay, so we're definitely going to be looking into him as well to see, what's going on with the role that he's playing or not playing, to just have this situation not followed up and handled, because that doesn't sound difficult. It sounds like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like just a situation of placing you and your son into a safe space,
Correct.
and right, maybe giving you Section 8. Has that been an option for somebody to give you Section 8?
Yes. So they had given me Section 8. Again, as I previously stated, I've been in court from 2018 to current, so I have 25 illegal filings. Again, even they were one on my behalf. I petitioned the court. I asked for letters of recommendation to submit with these applications that I'm putting in. I'm spending a lot of money on application fees and not being called back. I'm not getting no call. I asked for a letter of recommendations to send with my Section 8 voucher as well as my application. I'm just keep getting legal, which is eviction notices.
Wow.
So you still have that vouchers?
So at a certain time it expired. It expires. They also was giving. When I say they, let me call them who they are. Newark Housing Authority was giving me an issue, and when I made them aware of how hard it is for me to move with the Section 8 voucher on top of the filings on my record, they didn't do anything. They they canceled the voucher, reissued it in May of 2021. Reissued in May 2021 and still not remove the filings off my name for me to move forward.
Wow. So it's like we're going to give you what you need, but we're also going to hinder you in the process.
Right.
That's exactly it. Even with a voucher, I have so many denials. Like, no, we don't touch Section 8. No, I'm talking about from realtors, from known companies that tells me no. And I literally had to change my name on Facebook because I read the forum where from Section 8 landlords, how they screen tenants before applications so they can discriminate without actually discriminate, turning them down without turning them down, basically. So they ask for certain information to look you up. They ask you to leave your information so they can look you up. So when you do apply, they don't call you back.
So I'm confused, and I know I have to end this show because we only have 2 minutes left in this segment. What are they looking for on your Facebook? Like if you're partying or something, then you won't be allowed to live somewhere? What are they looking for?
So they're looking for, they're looking for your name and information to run it, to screen you for a potential tenant. I can share that with you off of this, but yeah, I have it.
Well, listen, thank you. And like I said, we're about to just bring this to the to close just for this evening because we want to keep it short so that more people will watch it and be aware of what's going on.
Right.
We're going to continue to talk to your to other parents that have the same situation, and like I said, we're going to continue to take steps to get some resolve to this situation. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Jessica, you've been absolutely amazing. I'm looking at your face, and I'm looking at the audience that I'm sitting with, at my own home, and we have to support each other as women. We have to support each other as parents. We just got to be mindful that we are more alike than we are different. And like I always say, it's incumbent upon those of us who can help to try our best to help. And again, I can't say enough, Stephanie, you're not alone, and we're going to stick with you to the end until we resolve to this situation.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Stephanie. And God bless you and your son. Prayers go out to you guys. And until next time, we'll be talking to perhaps Jessica, we can talk to. There's so many parents going through this. Somebody else tomorrow. We'll see if our schedule permits, and we're going to keep pushing. Thank you for the listening audience to being here today. And if anyone sees this after the airing, please post any questions, comments, and concerns in the comment section. Thank you, and good evening, everyone.
Good night.